Hello, gorgeous people. I am back, and if you're listening to me, I am your host, Arthie Moore, creative, compassionate leaders of influence. And I'm excited to be back because I am on IBGR.network, the most incredible radio station that I've ever come across. Now, what I love about our radio station is that we are here for our amazing business owners, our entrepreneurs who are working in, on, or exiting their business, and they're at different stages of their business. And what's incredible is that we get to learn from them constantly. We listen to their questions and we are guided by what their needs are. So when I'm talking to you, you are listening to episode 9 in the People Lane. And today I'm talking about the rewards of servant leadership and lifting the lid on potential. Now, I was talking into all of the areas where I did a lot of wrong things, a lot of amazing things, and what I've learned differently. And I thought that I'm going to share with you all of the stuff that worked for me as well. So, being an entrepreneur, a business owner is the most funnest thing you could ever do because you're learning constantly. I know that it's amazing when you're employed by somebody, but if you're on the receiving end of being employed by a leader who is not somebody who wants to guide and support you, it can be very, very depressing. So I want to give a shout out to David Wilson. Thank you for listening and thank you so much for your comment. I really seriously appreciate it. I love that we can engage with our audiences. I love getting information from people, their questions, their comments, and all of their thoughts because I can then adjust my show to be of service to you and add more value to where you're at in your business. Now, being in business for over 23 years has helped me to challenge myself, to lift the lid on my potential. Now, I said that I was going to talk into a few areas that would make sense that I found really worked for me. And I learned this the hard way. I learned that there's a difference between serving, the impact of serving versus service. I learned that there's a difference between selfish and selfless. So when I look at servant leadership, there's a beautiful thing that I created over the last 10 to 15 years. I've learned how to work out the difference between selfless and selfish the hard way. So when I thought I was everything to everybody, I was being selfish. Now, if you know the difference between selfless and selfish, people love telling me that selfless is when you keep giving of yourself to everybody and you sacrifice everything around you. You're the type of person that loves to give. Okay, so I was one of those people. And guess what? That is the worst thing to do because there's no balance. When you're selfless, you sacrifice yourself and you give because you're waiting. No, I can't say you. Let me actually bring this back. I needed to be acknowledged by the people around me based on what I did for people. I needed to be acknowledged because I felt that I I wasn't good enough. I was looking for people to say well done. And that was based on my upbringing, it was based on my past. And when I was talking to you earlier on, I realized when I said we need to upgrade our belief systems, our self esteem, and self confidence. No matter how much I looked confident on the outside, I would sacrifice everything that I did, and I did everything in the business because I realized that I needed from people where I was missing within myself pieces that needed to be healed. Now, as a business owner and entrepreneur, yeah, we talk about professionalism all the time. We talk about business skills and tools and etiquette and the way we need to lead. But as a leader, the vulnerability is looking at where we are personally battling, where are we suffering internally, where are we missing within ourselves the emotional development we crave. You see, craving attention is also part of it. You see, a lot of people who have got projectile dysfunction have got self confidence issues. They don't want to step up, step out, and say, I don't know, I was wrong, I'm sorry. And I've had to learn to do that. It wasn't second nature to me. I could forgive easily, but being able to acknowledge where I was wrong in not allowing other people to take charge, be more, do more, I was actually putting the lid on my potential and theirs. I was limiting them based on my self limiting beliefs. And so, what I realized is to reflect, realign, and refresh my beliefs about everything. Everything and everybody that I will interact with in the business environment. Because when we are in business, we are dealing with people. And when you're dealing with people, they come in all shapes, sizes, beliefs, diversities, gender roles. We have people with abilities, disabilities, sexual orientations. We have to remove within ourselves the self judgment, the prejudices, the unconscious biases that actually can limit our ability to lift the potential on ourselves as well as other people. You see, a servant leadership, yeah, a servant leader, a compassionate leader of influence, guides and supports people regardless of who they are, where they come from, and what they have done, what their journey's been. What we do is we seek to understand where they are at in their lives and what guided them and molded them to that point in their lives. And then we seek to find the ways to help them heal. And the way to do that is to give them the skills and the tools and the techniques to improve their confidence, to improve their self confidence, their self development, their personal development, to improve their ability to take charge and responsibility. This is how you remove all of the issues in the organization, the gossiping, the backbiting, the late coming, the lack of accountability, the poor work performance. It all adds up. And what do you have to do as a servant leader? So you have to open your mind to possibilities. How do you do that? Know the difference between being selfless and selfish. You see, selfish people say that to be selfish means you keep taking. Selfless is when you keep giving. So here's an eye opener. You are extremely selfish to yourself when you believe wrongly that you are so selfless in giving all the time. You see, when you keep doing that, you are sacrificing who you are. You sacrifice your precious time with the people in your home, the people who love you and adore you. Sacrifice your time with your friends, your family, the important get togethers, the birthdays, the after hours that you put in, and you think that you're selflessly giving to your business. You're taking away from the quality of your life. And that is selfish to you because you destroy your soul and your spirit where you start to resent the giving. And when you get to that point, you are no longer serving other people. What you are is a slave to your own business. And I said, there is a difference between serving and being of service where you become the doormat that everybody can walk over. That is what pure selfless is all about. You need to understand that there's got to be a balance, time out, self care. All of those adds up. It all adds up because you have a lot of successful people, absolutely beautiful. They smile, they're radiant, and yet inside them they're hurting and their hearts are in pain because they haven't had the time to be with their friends and their family in the way they needed to be. They did not nurture their relationships or give it the quality deserved. They did not take time out to realize what were they missing out in life. You see, life is all about memories and moments. A servant leader understands that. To lift the lid on potential, you need to lift the lid on what's limiting you first before you can see unlimited possibility. And to do that, you need to become more focused. You need to demand high standards and set the pace. You need to give your word, but make sure it means something. You need to build your business on ethical behavior. You need to realize that your business is very similar to a GPS. And if you want to know more about that, I actually wrote it up in my show notes as it is, and I put it there so that you can have access to that. So on our www.ibgr.network website, you can go and download the show notes of some of the things I was talking about. But think about it from this point of view. If your business is like a GPS, it's this. If we use the GPS as an analogy, we understand there are many components that enable it to set the route for your destination. You just take things for granted when you jump into your car and you put in your address, and this GPS will recalculate or create the route that you want to. That'll get you to your destination faster or quicker depending on what you input. Now, here's the thing: behind the scenes, the development of it, the technology, the automation, the ability to connect to a satellite took a lot of people to create all of this just so that you, within a few seconds, could punch in a code, could punch in an address, and head in the general direction, hoping that this GPS was leading you towards your destination. You see, we follow blindly a lot of things that we take for granted and we don't even realize the impact of it. You see, because you get to choose how you program your GPS. You can choose if you want the back roads or the main roads. You can choose the directions to be shown up on the picture form, either in big picture detail. You can even choose the voice you want to hear on your GPS. But the whole point of what I'm talking about is that when you set a destination, there'll also be obstacles that you do not foresee on your route. And yet, with the pre-settings you already punched in, the GPS will automatically recalculate to give you the best, safest route to get to your destination. In the same way in your business with any team, when you upskill them and you serve their needs and you stretch their potential, you give them the ability to be proactive, decisive, and consistent according to the tools you gave to them, clarity in the direction based on your vision, and a sense of purpose to pursue completion successfully in any project, venture, or daily task makes you the compassionate leader of influence. It makes you powerful, it makes you incredible, it makes you awesome. So lift the lid on the potential of your people, giving them the ability to lead themselves whilst you serve your own people. And with that, I want to say, I'm Arthie Moore, Compassion Leader of Influence, co-founder of Key Leadership Institute, and the most incredible Celebrating Humanity International company. Get in touch with me on www.ibgr.network. It's been a